Daisy Thomas with us this morning. And remember to get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. Visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Do it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Daisy.
Good morning, team. How are we all?
Lovely to see you.
And to you.
Breath of fresh air rolling into the studio on a Monday morning.
As Gilbert McAdam would say, a fresher breath air.
A fresher breath air.
He's the best.
Let's talk about Brisbane and the Cats before we come back and talk about more footy, because that game had a bit of everything, including a 1-point win to Geelong.
Yes.
At one point, the coach has wandered over to the Brisbane huddle, Chris Scott. What was he saying? What was that about? Why was he doing that?
Well, yeah, you're right. The game had everything. Gary Rowan just had a bit of a brain fart, and he decided to clobber Lachie Neale, the reigning Brownlow medalist, off the ball about 100 metres off. He's been given 2 weeks subsequently, and that sort of... Well, Lachie Neale was... he put 3 fingers up and indicated how many weeks he thought he was going to get.
Thought he'd get 3. He only got 2.
He only got 2, so Lockie's not a great judge.
It's a win for Gary.
It is. But yeah, as a result of that and some of the other things that were going on in the game, at one of the breaks, Chris Scott wandered over and just decided to have a few words with Lachie Neale. It wasn't a great look. He had to get pulled back by Joel Selwood.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, so the commentary coming out around that now is more about the optics of it and how it looks.
It looks bad.
Well, it looks bad, and if that's sort of suburban footy, which people are relating it to, you know, that's where you get coaches getting punched and things escalating like that. So that'll be a big talking point. I've got no doubt he'll get a please explain from the AFL.
And it looks bad when Rowan just snots a guy off the ball.
Well, that was a bad look too, wasn't it?
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That sort of ill discipline must drive a coach mental so that he walks over and starts talking to the opposition.
Correct. And it was a very heated game. As you said, it got down to 1 point in the end. The umpires, that was a very big talking point late. Mark Blitzarves took possession, got into a bit of a spin move and then dropped the ball cold.
Well, it had to be one of 2 things, didn't it? Incorrect disposal or holding the ball.
Absolutely. So the umpire could have taken his pick and he went with the third option, the third of 2, and said play on. So
Unbelievable.
the Geelong fans were up and about because they got a pretty soft holding the ball free the other end only moments earlier. And
That's
then
right.
Goes down the other end, and that subsequently cost them the game. And then for Brisbane, bad to worse, they all had to stay in Melbourne, had to have COVID tests because obviously there's a small outbreak up there in Brisbane at the minute. So they're waiting to see. They're obviously zipping 2 at the minute. They've got the Pies this weekend, or this Friday, this Thursday night, I think it is, sorry.
Yeah, it is.
I should know that. I'm meant to be calling it.
But where do you think they'll play that game if they're not allowed back at the Gabba?
Well, it'll be at the MCG, which will be a huge up for Collingwood.
Yeah.
So obviously Brisbane then zipping 2, going up to their home deck to play the Pies. Who
Would have
aren't in
felt
the
better
best.
about that.
You would have, but instead, in a bit of lockdown down here, a bit of uncertainty, and then get rolled out at the MCG in front of the Pies faithful. So very, very interesting times to be a Brisbane Lion.
Absolutely. Tough to lose by a point, isn't it? But are they where everyone thought and expected them to be, or are they a little undercooked?
I think they're both a little undercooked. I don't think Geelong are where people expected them to be either. Obviously, they've recruited really well, got Higgins across, Jeremy Cameron, who hasn't played yet, and, of course, Isaac Smith, the running machine. I think they're going to take a little while to get into their gears. They obviously went a lot deeper into September, which means you have a month less training than some of the sides who bowed out earlier. So I don't think we can read too much into their form at the minute. You just got to get enough to get a couple of wins on the board. So when you do start to hum come the middle of the year, you're not chasing from too far behind the pack that has started well.
Beautiful. Let's come back and talk more footy.
Let's do it.
We love footy. And footy continues, thankfully.
It does.
I lost a bit of interest, I'm not going to lie, in 2020.
I think a lot of people did. I think it was the saviour for a little while, but then it wasn't a great spectacle last year, was it? The shortened quarters, it was crappy
and
games.
The hub, it was like, it's all revolting.
It's
but
good
back.
that it's back, though. It is,
We're
and
back.
there's fans at the footy, which is good.
What did you take out of the weekend? What was interesting for you?
Thursday night was the big one, Collingwood v Carlton. Carlton, pretty disappointing, to be completely honest. Lost by 21 points. They're now zipping 2. Very tough. They've got Fremantle this week. The good news for them, I guess, is that Nat Fyfe won't play. He's got concussed on the weekend, so he'll have to sit out the mandatory 10 days or 12 days or whatever it is.
12 days. He was a medical sub.
So there's some respite for the Blues. That's a must-win for them this weekend. If they go zipping 3, there'll be all sorts of words coming around about that camp.
Absolutely.
Sydney Swans, again, very, very impressive. Big Bud was back, which is good.
Yeah.
Errol Golden. How's that for a name?
Yeah, it's a great name.
Sounds like he should be in Superbad, doesn't he? He's
Errol Golden should be bullying people over
just
stoned.
him and McLovin.
John Longmire's amazing, isn't he?
He-
What he does with that group all the time.
He's a bit like Clarko in a sense that just when you think they're done, you're about to write them off, draw a line through them. They just have these kids. Obviously, Hawthorn had Kaczynski, came up and kicked 6 in one of the practice. No one had really heard of him. He'd been on the list for a few years, but well done to them. Port Adelaide, they're on top of the ladder again.
Yeah.
I think we don't give them enough credit, I don't think. I'm all about Port Adelaide. They were unbelievable last year. They were on top of the ladder from the first round to the last round, and they've been on top of the ladder the first 2 rounds of this season as well. So they are humming. St Kilda D's, that was a pretty much a non-event. The D's ran away with that one. Suns North Melbourne, your Bob North, they were good. They had the 1 goal till half-time.
I have predicted that North won't win a game this year.
Well,
Because I can't see who they're going to beat. Can you?
I don't know. It's going to be very, very tough. I think with the longer quarters as well. Last year, if you were an average team, you could have jumped someone and then held on. There's just a lot of time for teams to come back, and it's unfortunate. They're going to have to rebuild. They've got some young kids, so it's just a watch and see sort of year
There's
for North
some
fans.
good, really solid footballers at the club. Doug Cunnington's back this week.
Yeah, the big farm strength. He's
But
very
good.
good,
They just don't have a forward line. There's no one to kick to.
which makes it very tough. And obviously the best forward they had, Ben Brown, he left. So
I'd love to know the whole Ben Brown story. There's got to be something going on there that we don't know.
I think he just left because he probably read the play a little bit that they weren't going to be great, and it's very hard to be a forward in a team that only gets sort of 35 to 40 inside 50s.
Well, Reece Shaw's coming out saying now he never felt supported by the club. There's stuff going on at
Yes,
North.
yes.
I think there's a transparency as a member there that we need to know a little bit more about what's going on.
Well, I think once your team starts going to crap, in a sense, which happened last year, it's sort of every man for himself, which isn't a great environment to be in, which I think that's probably where Reece's comments are coming from.
Well, and you lose a coach who's battling with mental health issues and 14 guys move on. That is cause for a conversation with the members, I would have thought.
Maybe shoot an email. If you are the member you say you are, shoot off an email, see if they get back to you.
I am so busy.
Yeah,
Oh, God, I'm busy.
well, I'll shoot it for you. Surely you've got an assistant or something. The other big game yesterday was, of course, the Western Bulldogs playing against the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium.
Will loved that one.
Unbelievable
Instant
game of footy.
classic,
It
I
was a
reckon.
classic. Yeah, I think everyone's running with that phrase, so good for you for jumping on the bandwagon.
Thank you, mate.
Western Bulldogs kicked the last goal, Marcus Bontempelli, to put it without doubt, with about 20 seconds to go. So that was an absolute ripper. And a game the Bulldogs should have won, so good for them to going on and doing that.
Well, and we've got him on Good Friday, so it should be another great
Just
win
really fine-tuning for you.
for the Bulldogs.
Yes. No, so a big week of footy last week. And, of course, the big question will be where this game's played Thursday night.
Yeah.
So plenty to play out this week.
Good on you, Daisy. Great to see you, mate.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you next Monday.
The Marty Sheargold Show. Triple M.